What is up, folks? It's your boy Turk here at SGN Hub, and obviously we're doing another playtest update, basically on the progress of the game, where we're at, where we see it going, and we got a large batch of new playtesters this time around, especially with having access to 7v7 as opposed to the previous one that was 4v. It was a 4v4 if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah,
didn't get my hands on too much of it. We finally got a PlayStation here at the Hub. Jay is gonna have a lot more gameplay and intuition on it than me. Shout out to Smoking Jay. But as you can see, folks, we got your boy, your bummy here. Introduce yourself to those who may not know who you are.
yes, sir. Your bummy Timmy, all platforms, same name across all platforms. Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. You can find me.
That obviously, if you guys got any questions to ask us directly, be sure to throw those down in the comments section. If you have any discussions that you're looking to spark or potentially ask any of the playtesters that we may have on future interviews, obviously get those in the comment section below. If you like this stuff, obviously thumbs up, all that YouTube jazz. But with that being said, let's get into it. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions primarily about how you see the playtest going, especially with a lot of newer people having access to more of a user guided experience, with it obviously being 7-on-7. So the first question I will pose to you is, from what you saw during the recent playtest, how well do you think that the newer players were able to adjust to ESG's football mechanics as opposed to something like a Madden?
So you gonna always have, regardless of whatever aspect it is, you're gonna have players that pick up stuff faster and players that pick it up slower. So that was no different with ESG. But the specifics, I feel like when you have the ability to make any build in 7v7, it can get wild. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you don't have any structure with it. So pick up and play with 7v7s will be a little more difficult than, like, let's say 4v4, where it's just strictly AI linemen. Because for example, if I came out and I wanted to make a offensive lineman, right? And it was just pick up and play, we load in. What if everybody that's in the lobby readied up and it's too many offensive linemen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And somebody is out of position or something like that. So the fours, I feel like, is more friendly to pick up and play,
Okay.
but the sevens is more comp, where you can build
Yeah, I can see
certain
that. I
positions.
feel like the AI would probably pick up that slack pretty well. Like if somebody was to misplay, you know what I mean? I can see you getting a lot more
Yeah,
leeway with an
definitely.
AI on your team than that. The one thing I was really surprised to see is like it seemed like people were hopping in games relatively quickly. What did you notice any like server capacity? Was there anything like that this time going on? Were they testing that, or were they just primarily focused on more like enclosed 7v7 matches? Or
So
I know
it
previously there
wasn't.
was a lot of games that we couldn't. I remember when this was early on, we couldn't have too many games going on, or the heights would like flood.
Mhm.
Was there anything like that going on?
No, so from my understanding, there was no capacity
Ooh,
issues.
okay.
The main thing was just the same issue that was the last time, on the PlayStation, was the RAM. So we have to close out the app after a certain amount of games
Ah,
because of the RAM getting up too
okay.
high. But other than that, it was smooth as far
Nice.
as
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
That's what's
getting in
up.
games pretty quickly. Yeah.
So, especially with it being 7-on-7, obviously we're talking about that going from 4 to 7s, and then the slight differences. Were there any areas particularly that you saw where the game, it seems like just playing naturally teaches people how to improve rather than you just like telling it to them. Like it has to be more, you know what I mean? Like would it be timing, reads, or any type of user control?
Yeah. So it's two aspects to it, in my opinion. You have the football knowledge, that you have the learning curve with that, working as a team. Then you have the controls that you have to learn as well. So the controls, for the most part, is just different than Madden. They're still pretty easy. You just got to get the muscle memory of where to press if you played other football games a lot. And the other aspect of it was the 7v7 portion and the football knowledge. Not
Hmm.
everyone is at the same level when it comes
Yeah.
to that. Everyone don't know how to pass off zone coverages and play a cover two or a cover three, the concept of running those things. So if you get someone on your team that's not aware, the more simple you can make it, the better.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about ESG is, once you have a team with the chemistry and the football knowledge that's up there, you can create schemes and
Yeah.
concepts that's basic to highly
Yeah.
advanced stuff, like match defense, match coverage, match zones. You can do all of that if your team is aware and know what to do.
I think a lot of people are underestimating the potential of, like, yes, there's obviously your builds that really plays into it, but if you have a team of people that are communicating and just running a proper scheme, like you said, you can damn, throat cleared up. But like you said, if you have a team of people that are really running a proper scheme, there's some cohesion and chemistry there, you can lock people up almost off communication alone. And I know there's some future implementations that I'm personally really looking forward to with zone coverage and player awareness, to kind of prevent a lot of that, like, kind of just chicken with your head cut off type running around coverage thing. And I'm really excited to see that coming as well. I don't know if you heard anything about that with the coverage zones and stuff like that based on your awareness. I think
Yeah,
that's going to be something that's really not even necessarily test football knowledge, but rather than that, I think there's a lot of things whenever you're posted at that camera angle where people kind of, they'll naturally associate that with Madden, like feel that whenever I think you bring in that coverage, the development of the coverage, that'll even further prove, what we're talking about here. And I hope
yeah,
as more
and
people get access to it, we can kind of drive that home.
yeah, definitely. And like you were saying, what we both were saying pretty much, if someone is out of position, right, and if you're able to, let me start over. If you're able to see the whole field like Madden, right,
Hmm.
and you can see every player running routes, and we running the cover too, and my cornerback on the right side in the soft zone sees a deep post, right, and instead of just trusting his zone, he might just run over there
Hmm.
because that's his first instinct because he
Yep.
sees somebody getting open,
Yes.
But if you're not aware of what the other players are doing, like for example, what you're saying with the implementation of the disappearing of the receivers
Hmm.
if they're not in your zone, that's going to force people to be disciplined in itself
Yes.
because it's like, okay, I can't just run over here randomly blindly because I don't even know what's going on over there. So I have to stay in my
Yes.
zone, my assignment, So yeah,
And
that'd definitely be a
the
big
thing
thing
that
as
I
well.
found about it is that to me is almost like, I feel like it sounds odd to say, but it's almost like as close to like a first person or full user experience, in a way as you'll get. Because when you really think about it from a logical perspective, if you're playing an individual player, you can't see all that shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Facts.
You should really only be able to see. But from the developmental standpoint, that's a lot easier for me to say than for them to implement. Oh, let me see it from my character's angle. But I feel like this is as close as you'll get to really simulating X's and O's and being able to like have faith in your teammates. Be like you said, you have to believe that your teammate's gonna hold that, because if you don't have the
Mhm.
cohesion, it's like, damn, your dude's about to be gone because you're not gonna see
And
that.
I actually seen it. Like Ray showed us
Yeah.
how
Yep.
it worked, and
It's
everybody
enticing.
was on board with
Yeah.
it.
And
I
I
didn't hear
think
no
the
negative.
stat allocation even plays a big role in it, and like the builds, I like. It's almost like they're finding a way to make everything really matter. Like you said, I hope they're. It seems like they're trying to dodge making just a solid meta, and I love that.
Hmm.
Like, and
Yeah,
it's just like the NFL. Things come and go. New quarterbacks come and go. Schemes come and go.
different play styles.
Yes,
Yep.
and I think that's what we're seeing a lot as ESG is developing. I think we'll probably continue to see that as more players get hands on it. I think
Oh
we're
yeah,
already
most
starting to see
definitely.
the community sentiment change a little bit around the game. You don't see as them, oh, vaporware, because you got people actually finally getting in the beta. And folks, if you haven't played it,
Exactly.
man, as these playtests keep on rolling out, be sure to check out either SGN, Bummy's page, or ESG's official page for any information on getting in the beta. Obviously, we can always include links to signups to that. I'm telling you, folks, this is a game that is going to be changing stuff up, and you're going to want to get your hands on it. But with those few things being said, I'll probably ask one or two more questions. You know what I'm saying? Because we can only elaborate so long, folks. I'm telling you, apply for this beta. Follow it as closely as you can. Follow ESG because I'm telling you, it is worth it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
lastly, getting to it, I like to usually close out with like some developer feedback, and hopefully, open the floor for some comments too. Because in the next video, folks, if you have any questions, what I'll do is I'll ask one of the questions. We'll discuss one of your topics in the next one if you have something down there below. But for now, this is going to be something that we say feedbacks that that the developers might want to hear. Questions that would really help them get some insight as to what we're feeling. So right now, what is something that you think ESG is doing right in terms of making the experience approachable without watering it down with like a certain type of feeling? Like, what is making it unique? What are they really capitalizing on? I feel like the gameplay alone is unique, but there's a lot of stuff promised. What do you look? I guess you could say looking forward to, because we've already seen a lot of the stuff that they have cooking, and at this point, I kind of like believe just you know what I mean, what they're
Yeah.
saying is in. They said they got 11v11, and I can't wait for that. They're like, yeah, it's already running. I'm like,
And that's a good question because I feel like it's a lot of positives that you can take from it. Besides the fact of it being 7 versus 7 complete user control, which is in itself innovative
yeah,
and never been done. It's been talked about,
yep.
but never executed, especially to the level of this and for a free to play game. But besides all of that, put that aside. Y'all gotta realize this game, even with the 7 versus 7, and it's not full 11 yet, we haven't got our hands on that. The strategic portion of this game is second to
Yeah.
none when it comes to any sports video game that you can think of. You have to communicate, you have to scheme up. If you go out there and just try to play backyard football, it's not going to work. So I know like the first initial thought is probably, oh, 7 versus 7, we're going to be doing whatever we want to do. No, you're going to have to play real football out there, scheme up, no backwards passes, like none of that. It's going to be real life strategy schemes, and I'm looking forward to like the esports portion of it, like the tournaments and the comp, the comp aspect, and when people get a full roster and teammates that they can actually scheme up and how the top competitive scene look. That's what I'm most excited about.
I honestly am gonna have to. I can kind of second that because the whole, like you said, with it being a full user-driven experience, the thing that I found, I was just anticipating it to be just hectic, having 7 different people talking at one time, and like it gets how you would expect, I guess, like a sports game to get. But like, you know, you can obviously, you have people disagree, and that's a different type of subject. But when you have 7 people that are really talking together on a team, it's not loud. People, you just kind of ease your way into it, and it's so hard to explain because folks, I've never played anything like this. Just, I'm gonna be real, I've never played anything like ESG football ever. I've played a lot of games, and even when you think about it, how many games have you played where you're forced to speak to 6 other people all at once? Like, what, you know, even in like Overwatch or Rivals or anything like things like that, you're still capped off at, what is it, 6v6, you know what I mean? So you're still, there's arguably more, I think, strategy and communication required in a game like ESG, surprisingly, to genuinely succeed. And like, you know, to like, I thought the pacing of the game was going to be way too fast in a 7v7. I was like, man, how are we going to be, you know, what's the point talking about something if the ball's going to be moving so fast?
If it's like football, right, and I'm the quarterback is the person that's in command. Everybody not talking in the huddle.
Yep.
The quarterback is going to give the play call, tell the receivers, the offensive line, the tight ends, running backs what to do, and then when the play is started, nobody's really talking during the play. It's just executing what we talked about previously, and it's just getting the scheme right. Now on defense, you have more communication. For example, if somebody running an RPO scheme and the defensive end sees that the quarterback gave the ball off because they visually seen it, but I'm at safety and I'm playing a receiver, then he can say, oh, they handed it off, now I can abandon that receiver and just go straight for the ball. That's the communication. So it's not really overbearing if you got a team that knows what they're doing and actually taking it serious.
Yeah, man. I don't think a lot of people understand what they're really in for whenever they get in to play this. Hopefully we get more people as these, you know, as these betas go on. Obviously, like we had mentioned in the previous video, the first thing that they're prioritizing is the PlayStation release. So folks, like, we had to get a PlayStation just to play this, and I'm happy that I did. Folks, it's free to play. Like, this beta is the beta is free to sign up for, and the game's gonna be free to play. Free to play 7v7 user, like, that's nuts, bro. Like, having 14 people on the field at once, like, that's it's tough, and it runs so much smoother than I expected.
It's a lot of talking, chirping. People, oh, you can only run a ball, you know not to throw the ball. Like, it's a lot of chirping going on, and it's real comp, and people are sore losers. They will blame everybody except themselves. That was my mantra. Ask Smoking Jay. That was what I was just countering all arguments with. I said, once I'll join the chat, GG's, they'll be like, oh, you only won because of this, you only won because of that. And I'll just be like, once you stop making excuses and start making adjustments, you'll start winning more. So that was what I was just saying to everybody, bro. That was making them mad. But it's true.
It's got nothing to do with me, man. Sorry about it.
Yeah, man. Just make adjustments, bro.
Folks, as I mentioned, that's how we close it out. You know, ask a little developer question. As I mentioned, man, go peep Bummy's, all of his socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of his information, and keep your eyes on all of us as creators and just ESG as a whole, folks. There's going to be a lot of information coming out of all of the camps that you see us associated with on these interviews. We're always trying to get more information and community conjecture going about ESG, folks. Hopefully just to completely swap that narrative, folks. This game is real, it's incredible, and I hope more of you apply for the beta to get your hands on it and see for yourself. With that being said, it's been your boy Turk. Peace out, and Bummy as
Sir,
well.
you're bummy to me, man. Bummy gang.
Yes,
You
sir.
already know what it is.
All right, folks, we'll see you next time. Peace.